What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a street photography POV style video featuring the beautiful streets of New York City, specifically the Greenwich Village area of Manhattan. Most of the time when I do my street photography sessions, I just like to walk in the direction of whatever seems most interesting to me. But for this session, I wanted a little outside help in picking my route. So enter Randonautica. If you're not familiar with Randonautica, it was trending on TikTok a little while ago. It is an app that essentially picks a random set of coordinates for you to walk to, and then when you select that, it'll open a route in Google Maps and you can follow that route to get to the coordinates. It claims that it uses quantum math entanglement stuff to generate the entropy sources based on anomalous blah blah blah. I don't know. I don't think it does. So just putting this out there, I don't believe any of this more kind of woo stuff about this app. I'm pretty sure it is just random, but I thought it would be fun to use nonetheless, partially because it's fun to pretend that these routes might have some kind of magical properties, and partially because anywhere you go in Manhattan is gonna have stuff that's interesting and worth photographing. So I figured that an app that picks a random location might be a good tool for guiding my street photography session, simply because I've already explored a lot of lower Manhattan and kind of already walked towards all of the most visually interesting points. I wanted some new ideas for where to go, some new territory, so this app was actually pretty helpful for that. So with all that said, I do want to talk a bit about the film that I'm going to be shooting with. I'm shooting entirely with Wolfen NC400. I burned pretty much a whole roll for this street photography session, and this film is new, and I've already done an entire video about this film stock, so go and check that out if you're interested in learning more about this particular film. These rolls of Wolfen NC400 were gifted to me by Freestyle Photo in LA. So a huge shout out to Freestyle Photo. Thank you guys so much for making this video possible, for gifting me this film, letting me try it out. I've also got some other rolls from Freestyle Photo that I'm really excited to share with you guys, and so I'll have a new film review out for you soon featuring a brand new interesting film as well. But I'm not going to say anything more about that because I don't want to spoil it. That's enough about the film. That's enough about the app. Another huge shout out to Freestyle Photo LA for making this video happen. Thank you guys. And without further ado, let's jump right in and do some street photography. So when you first boot up the app, it asks you to use what are called OWL coins to generate an anomalous point. I chose to generate the most anomalous point, which also cost the most OWL coins. Luckily, I have 150 of them. I think you start out with a certain amount of OWL coins and you get like 30 a day or something. The first point, it gives you a second to kind of visualize what sorts of things you're interested in seeing, what kind of point you want it to generate, and you're using the power of your mind to influence this app and have it generate a point that will appeal to you. I concentrated really hard on going somewhere that I have never been before, with things that I have never seen before. And the first footage you're seeing here is just me exiting my hostel and kind of heading out onto the main road. Continuing down 20th, I walked past a bunch of these beautiful fire escapes, casting shadows all over the walls and the trees. Definitely an interesting visual that we don't get a lot here in Vancouver. When I got out onto 9th, I decided that it was time for a coffee, considering that it was very early in the morning. And now I'm going to be pointing out the High Line. I was pretty excited when I first looked at this route and realized that it would be going up the High Line a little bit, because the High Line is definitely one of my favorite areas in New York, favorite attractions in New York maybe, and you're about to see why. I started mounting the stairs to get to the High Line. There were an awful lot of stairs, but eventually I did emerge onto the High Line, and as you can see, it is absolutely gorgeous. It's like this lush green elevated pathway that goes through a good chunk of Manhattan. It used to be an old railway grade, a railway track, and eventually it grew over. And my internet buddy, Jamie Maldonado, fellow photographer, go check out his channel, he showed me some photos that were taken by Joe Sternfeld before the High Line got kind of remade into this tourist destination. And oh my God, it looks so peaceful and cool. And nowadays, unfortunately, it is a little bit less peaceful and cool because there are so many people using it, but it's still a great piece of green space in the middle of the city nonetheless. So continuing along the High Line for as long as I can, admiring some of these things that I've already taken pictures of, and I'll throw those pictures in now. These were taken on film Washi X, video about that coming very soon. And eventually, unfortunately, it was time to leave the High Line because I have places to be, and they're exactly where Randonautica has told me I need to go. So I descend back down the stairs, leaving the High Line behind me, and now the route is starting to take me somewhere that I've never been before. It's leading me down towards the water and past this Chelsea Waterside Park. This park was kind of mid, but it had this really interesting kind of feature in the middle that I did snag a picture of, and the colors came out absolutely sublime in this photo, if I do say so myself. Walking past that, crossing another intersection, and I emerge into this beautiful park. And look at this, it's a waterfront park. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. Unfortunately, the view is not like super spectacular, so I didn't grab any pictures of it, but it was a very beautiful, peaceful place to be compared to the rest of Manhattan. There was a carousel near this area that I didn't take footage of for some reason, but I did grab this picture. And then continued past the carousel into what looked to be a boatyard. It does have a private property, no trespassing sign that I did not see until I started editing this video. So that sign can't stop me because I can't read. This area was quite photogenic. I actually didn't snap as many photos as I thought I had here. I did get this one of the staircase. You know, I should have taken more photos here in retrospect, but I still had quite a bit of street photography time ahead of me, and I didn't want to burn through the roll too quickly. So coming out of this little hangar area, I saw this very large, very odd, unidentifiable structure. And I was immediately drawn towards it. I was like, what is that? I would not have guessed what it is because as I got closer, I realized that it's actually like a golf range, and it's surrounded by mega yachts, and it's this golf range that juts out into like a pier. Funnily enough, this was actually where my point was. So right at the end of this golf range, Randonautica was like, ah yes, here's somewhere that she's never been before. Here's somewhere that she would never go on her own. I found this one very funny and a little bit like apt. Because no, I would absolutely never visit a golf range on a mega yacht dock unless Randonautica had told me to go here. Now there's some footage of me talking, so let's cut to that. Okay, I mean, here we are at location number 1. It took me, I guess, like 25, 30 minutes to get here. I'm happy with some of the photos I got of this extremely surreal thing behind me. The next spot is going to be somewhere in Greenwich Village. I've just plotted it, and the walking directions were absolutely unhinged, so I'm going to take the car directions instead. So, having put in my new location, I noticed that it was directly in the middle of Greenwich Village, which is perfect because that is where I wanted to do most of my street photography for this session. I walked quite a while before I actually found anything worth photographing, and finally came across this kind of combination of interesting bridges and a reflective glass window that paired nicely to create this photo. Passing this, I found myself in this shopping district area that was beneath the High Line. It was fun peering into the windows, snapped a few shots, and then noticed this Pikachu statue that, listen, the first time I went by this statue, it was facing the other direction, and I don't know if you can tell by this footage, but like there's no rotation platform or anything underneath it, so I have no idea how this thing rotated, but somebody must have come by like with a forklift or something and rotated it for some reason, like within the 3 days between me seeing it the first time and me seeing it the second time. Very strange. At this point in the street photography walk, we are getting closer into Greenwich Village. Now, this whole walk through Greenwich Village, I did grab a few photos here and there. There's a lot of really interesting storefronts, but also charming eateries with little chairs and things out front, lots of plants. It's a very verdant area. So overall, a very stimulating place for street photography. And after a short walk, I arrived at my second location. Now, I should have mentioned this before, but when I did like the visualization period for the app to pick this location, I was visualizing like a playground with like brightly colored bars, maybe some graffiti, something brightly colored, some kind of art space, and it brought me to this building that is under construction and covered in scaffolding. So not exactly what I was looking for, but I have another clip of myself talking from this day, so let's cut to that now. Okay, so here I am at point number 2, and it's actually not as exciting as point number 1. It's kind of just like right in the middle of Greenwich Village, which is cool. So I've just generated my next point, and it's only a 5-minute walk away, so I think I'm gonna do 2 more points for this video. I have about 2 more hours until I have to like call it quits, so I think that's enough time for at least another 2 points. So let's go and see what point number 3 has in store for us. En route to point number 3, I turned around and snapped this photo, and I also was lucky enough to bump into this beautiful lady who was wearing a very interesting outfit and carrying a bouquet of flowers. But other than that, I didn't get too much on the walk to point number 3, and eventually I came upon this nice outdoor seating area, and I will cut to me talking about point number 3. Okay, so here we are at point number 3. It's actually pretty cool. The light is not hitting it quite right for it to be like good for photos, but I do think it's like an interesting spot. I'm gonna start charting point number 4, so let's see, and I'm getting ready to go. Charting course to point number 4, I put in my brain that I wanted graffiti, I wanted art space. I wanted big color on walls, something like that. And point number 4, did not deliver. It's probably my least favorite of the locations. As you can see from this footage, the walk over was not particularly aesthetic, and I was also right beside a very loud and noisy street, which was unpleasant. It was very chaotic, bustling, there's construction, there's cars, there's tons of people. Not exactly an environment for quiet, contemplative street photography. And it was so bright and sunny at this point in the day that I wasn't getting very interesting shadows either, so this whole walk was like a total bust. Here's me talking briefly about point number 4, and then we're gonna jump into point number 5. This is point number 4, a lot more busy than the last 3 points. There's a lot more foot traffic, some interesting buildings. Again, I didn't really get much on the way over here. It was an 11-minute walk. Let's do one more point and see if we can use up the last of this roll. Currently I've taken 27 pictures out of 36. So there better be a faraway point if we're gonna get 10 more photos out of this, but we'll see. Point number 5 coming up, let's go. So for point number 5, I had kind of given up on like pretending to influence the app with my mind. I was like, okay, whatever, like show me something interesting, I don't care. So when I did like the whole, okay, visualize what you want in your mind, I was just like, something cool. And it didn't quite deliver. This second half of the street photography adventure was like kind of subpar. I found this guy, complimented his hat, told me it wasn't a hat, it was a crown, and then maybe say that back to him. It is a crown. That was a great interaction. It was something interesting, I suppose. And then I came to the end of my street photography adventure, which was point number 5. All right, here we are at spot number 5. This is kind of a cool spot. I don't know, it's a bit more of the same that we've been seeing, like with the fire escapes, the shadows. I will grab a photo of that, I think, because that is like the exact spot on the map. Otherwise, the street is kind of nondescript, and we did backtrack quite a bit to get here, which I wasn't thrilled with. Interesting overall experience. Would I recommend using this for street photography? Probably not. I kind of wish that there was a way to like make it set a bunch of points and like give you a route, and that way there would maybe be less overlap between the points and the direction of each thing. I don't know. I'll talk more about it in my outro, but thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next week with a new video. Cheers. So that wraps up my street photography adventure using Randonautica in Manhattan. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you can leave a like, and you can leave a comment, and you can subscribe to my channel to get a new photography related video almost every week. I did really enjoy using the app for street photography in this way. I have explored a lot of Manhattan before, and so it was at least interesting having an app show me new places or like bring me places that I wouldn't otherwise have gone. Overall, I didn't get fantastic results from the points that it showed me. A lot of them were just kind of ordinary, which I don't know what I expected, but at least the first one was something interesting and kind of in line with what I was hoping I would get from the app. Would I recommend that you use Randonautica for your street photography adventures? Probably not. I would recommend you use the free coins that it gives you until you run out of those and then maybe give up. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Thanks again to Freestyle Photo LA for making this video possible with the beautiful film stock, and I will see you guys next week for a film review video on Film Washi X, I suspect. So stay tuned for that as well. I hope to see you guys next week, and in the meantime, I want you to stay sharp and don't forget to keep shooting. Bye guys.